District Attorney Sandra Doorley and Sheriff Todd Baxter. My name is Chris Chichester. There is guilty and not guilty in the criminal justice system. I'm neither. I'm innocent. I have been in jail 6 times, and 6 times a prosecutor from the district attorney's office has not talked in court. I've also been violently attacked before I've been deposited in jail because of one judge. 3 judges have had me in jail 6 times. $28,000 Paul C. Metz on Penfield Town Court, $34,000 John P. Lorenzo Jr. on Penfield Town Court, and $200,000 Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. So I have prosecutors. And I've been demanding the names of these prosecutors of silence for 18 months. And you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, continue to refuse. You received the Freedom of Information Law documentation I'm going to read. And you're going to receive it again. Because I'm going to hold it up and I'm going to read it. I'm going to tell you what the dates are. Because you received it on September 17th, September 19th. So what I'm going to read right now for you are these Freedom of Information Law documents. And you're going to refuse to comply with everyone. You have this one. This is September 17th here. This is September 19th here. And what you will receive soon is here, September 24th. So this is 50 plus Freedom of Information Law documents. And you're going to ignore every single one because you are above the law, you are a joke, you are a cliche. These are the documents. Now you listen to me, party switching sociopaths. Comply with this documentation. This is the law. And when you don't, I will contact the Department of Justice, Assistant Attorney General for Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Kristen Clark, Department of Justice, and tell her. I also will contact United States Attorney for Western District of New York, Trinity Ross, about what you've done to me. And what you've done to me is destroy my life. This is the law I have in my hands. I'm demanding information from you as a duly elected district attorney and sheriff, and you're going to refuse to comply. And the hypocrisy of you two is nauseating because you demand information every day, either in the investigation of criminal suspect Sheriff Baxter or in the prosecution of defendants, District Attorney Doorley. And here I am, a citizen, exercising my First Amendment right and demanding information from you, and you're refusing. You've been refusing for 18 months. You, Sandra Doorley, won't even tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence. And the reason why you refuse to comply is that this is an embarrassment at your Jonestown. For me to be in jail 6 times, have a prosecutor assigned to my concocted criminal charges, and then you're refusing to disclose the names. And look at my face, Sandra Doorley and Todd Baxter. This is anger that has to be managed and controlled. Because if you were in jail 6 times and 6 times a prosecutor didn't talk in court, you would have anger that would have to be controlled too. And I do my best to maintain my equanimity. But I have to maintain my equanimity in the face of fanaticism and corruption and hatred and malevolence, and that's you. I've told you this on a new app I'm using called TikTok. I'm going to begin to read these Freedom of Information Law documents that you already have. You signed for them on the 17th. On the 19th, I'm going to send it again to you on the 21st. So you will have received 51 Freedom of Information Law documents, 17th, 19th, and 21st, and you will refuse to comply with all 51. Here they are right here. I'm going to read them. Now, as I'm reading them, if you can reach morality for 5 seconds, you should be able to understand why I'm demanding this information. I'm demanding this information because you're responsible for the destruction of my life and character. I'll begin. Freedom of Information Law. The internal disciplinary records of documentation for employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. That Sheriff Todd K. Baxter has reprimanded, terminated, or disciplined in employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. The internal disciplinary records of documentation for employees at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of District Attorney Sandra Doorley. That District Attorney Sandra Doorley is disciplined, reprimanded, terminated from employment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Total cost of overtime or time and a half or whatever paid beyond a base salary is calculated at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, while paid beyond the base salary is calculated to Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter has expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits for failure to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley has expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits for failure to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The cost of the surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter fixed to a building at 2025 Penfield Road to monitor Christopher Child's history 26 Sanders Farm Drive, walk through the park line next to the building. The cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter to photograph 10 public employees underwater in the pool. The cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff employee Ryan Fisher to attend the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019 with his canine dog Lola. What are the physical training standards requirements to Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd K. Baxter? The day and year Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter rehired Michael Rather after his 20-year career with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office ended. Documentation for the case of Christopher Child's yesterday before John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. Documentation for the case of Christopher Child's yesterday before Paul C. Messer in Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. Documentation for the case of Christopher Child's yesterday before Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. And the final one, the name and charge of every inmate of Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter's Monroe County Jail from January 1, 2018 to September 17, 2022. So I'm going to return to these and then explain why I'm demanding that information. Criminal attempt second, harassment second, attempted felony assault on my back porch. I'm walking through the parking lot one day next to where my residence at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, and Ellie Roth of a business called Consumer Insight says to me, quote, "You're going to be arrested." I'm completely confused as to why he says this to me. All I'm doing is going about my day because I'm going to Gold's Gym in Fairport, which I love to do. And he says this to me after a confrontation I had with Neeraj Shah, who lives with his mother at 2033 Penfield Road. This building, Consumer Insights, where Ellie and Roth works, is right next to 2033 Penfield Road. 2033 Penfield Road is where Dr. Gloria Nichols used to have her dental practice. My life has changed, and I'm in this room at the Bragg Memorial Library because of Dr. Nichols moving her practice. I'm not changing anything about my life. 50-year-old Neeraj Shah and a 70-plus-year-old mother, two psychopaths, moved into that building. I'm going to tell you about that. I'm going to tell you about my dog, too, and what you did because of these two. My life is ordinary normal. I'm walking through the parking lot. Citizens of Monroe County, citizens of Penfield, New York, walk through this parking lot all day long because I can see them from the sliding glass door on my front first floor and the second floor bedroom on my second floor. It is ordinary normal to walk through this parking lot. I'm going to say this again for you. It's ordinary normal to walk through this parking lot because people walk through it all day long. So I'm walking through the parking lot and Neeraj Shah starts to scream at me. I've never heard a man scream like this. I turn around, I walk up to him, I say, "What's the problem?" We had this confrontation. And he's still screaming at me. When I walk away, I give him the official finger of Brooklyn, New York, and I tell him to fuck off. Because I'm not going to just sit there and allow this guy to just scream at me like a psychopath. And you two should understand a psychopath because you're psychopaths. Conviction Integrity Unit? What a joke. I'm going to be talking about that relentlessly too. So that's why Ellie Ross says to me I'm going to be arrested because this 50-year-old mother's boy, Neeraj Shah, went to the sheriff's office and me walked through a parking lot without anybody else. And then Shannon Meyer calls me, the $67,000 employee of the sheriff's office. I speak to her for an hour. I have to hold the phone away from my ear because of the way this freak talks, Todd Baxter. She says to me, "Do you walk through the parking lot?" I say, "Yeah, it's ordinary normal." She says to me, "Do you know Neeraj and Layla Kumar Shah?" I say, "No, what's that have to do with anything?" And I'm telling her how people walk through this parking lot every day. And this is how she's going to concoct criminal contempt. Second for me, Todd Baxter. And how do you employ this $67,000 nauseating, sickening, corrupt stooge? Because you're a nauseating, sickening, corrupt stooge, Todd Baxter. And you surround yourself with such. Maya wants to arrest me, and she's figuring out how to do it. She contacts Steve Desmond of Brock Hollow Tree and Lawn Care, and she tells him, "Ride your tractor by his residence, 26 Sanders Farm Drive. If he comes out of the residence, we're going to arrest him." This is what happened. Desmond rides his tractor by the residence. I see him from my couch, and then he rides the tractor up on my front lawn. So I walk outside and I tell him nobody owns the land next to my residence. My right arm is moving. Why do you think I know my right arm is moving? I walk back down into my residence. Do you, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley, understand that this is not a crime? For me to walk outside, speak to Steve Desmond of Rockall Tree and Lawn Care and say nobody owns that land and walk back to my residence. That's not a crime, Sandra Doorley. That's not a crime, Todd Baxter. And you can see that this is not a crime. And you're refusing to provide me what I'm going to talk about next. So I walk back to my residence. I sit down. Then I see Shannon Meyer run into my backyard and fall down in the dirt. This hack that works for you is in my backyard dirt. She can't even stand on her 2 feet when she's losing her mind. Then I hear the now familiar pounding on my front door. You don't just knock or ring the doorbell in a civil way. I'm thinking, what is that? I walk outside after I answer the door, and I'm surrounded on my front lawn after your Monroe County Sheriff Office employee lies to me at the front door. Quote, we just want to talk to you outside. That's not true. You're planning on doing this to me. That's why there are 6 of your fellow psychopaths and fanatics and degenerates at my residence, Todd Baxter. That's not a crime to tell Steve Desmond, Rockall Tree and Lawn Care nobody owns the land next to my residence. I'm surrounded on the front lawn. The handcuffs go on. Maya runs back around to the front. She's got dirt on her face. She's breathing heavy, this hyperventilating freak. You take me to the jail. You put me inside the jail cell. I'm locked inside there. I can't reach the urinal. I urinated on myself. I'm one of these lucky guys that has frequently 50-something. So there I am. After all I did is tell Steve Desmond of Rockall Tree and Lawn Care nobody owns land next to my residence. And I'm locked inside an isolated jail cell where I can't see anybody else, any other inmates. I think it's some kind of holding cell. I can't reach the urinal. I'm sitting in my own urine. So, yeah, I'm sitting in my own urine because of $67,000 to Shannon Meyer. And that's when the Monroe County Sheriff Office employee comes to where I'm sitting. And on his phone is the video of me telling Steve Desmond of Rockall Tree and Lawn Care nobody owns the land next to my residence. And that's why it's a surveillance device. It's a video of me taken from a surveillance device at 2025 Penview Road that I've also sent you pictures of. Registered mail return receipt. I've also held up a picture of this fucking contraption, you disgusting degenerate Todd Baxter. What do you think about what I'm saying to you? People that are mentally ill believe they're under surveillance by the federal government or the state government or someone else. You buy a camera for me that's a surveillance device and you know that you can ridicule me and paint me as mentally ill when I use that phrase when you bought one and affixed it to 2025 Penview Road, and my public defender, Regina Harper, emailed me the links on this thing. This video of me telling Steve Desmond of Rockall Tree and Lawn Care nobody owns the land next to my residence has an assigned number because I came to your office and the employee I spoke to knew what I was talking about. I'll guess because it's not every day that you're trying to nail an innocent citizen to the wall with a camera called a surveillance device. And it has an assigned number called, I believe it's an ICN number. Because at one point 18 months ago, I was emailing you from my mail.com account over and over and over. Send me that video footage because I'm not committing a crime. What did you do with it, Todd Baxter? It has an assigned number. It's on the phone of your Monroe County Sheriff Office employee, taken from a surveillance device at 2025 Penview Road. What I also want to know is that your camera you bought and fixed it at a building, or did you just access private technology owned at 2025 Penview Road by this business Consumer Insights, where Elliot Roth is the president of the business? What are the answers to these questions, you freak, Todd Baxter? And you refuse to answer every single question. So I walk outside, I tell Steve Desmond, Rockall Tree and Lawn Care nobody owns the land next to my residence, charged with criminal attempt second. I go to a now defunct gym called PW Fitness. I'm on the bench press one day. Up walks to me Jermaine L. Benman, the gym psychopath. I try to avoid this guy at the gym because of the way he behaves, and he finds me. I'm on the bench press. Benman motions with his right arm like this. I'm not going to allow this animal to tell me what to do, and that's what he is. I say, I'll be 30 seconds. Benman stands over me. He punches down my head, snaps back violently. Who did I harass, Todd Baxter? Is it Jermaine Benman? At this moment, when Jermaine Benman stands over me and I can see his penis in his shorts, did I harass Jermaine Benman? Who am I harassing at that point? Benman walks away, and a witness, who's also a gym member like me, sees Benman do this to me, and he calls the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Andrew Reale arrives. When Andrew Reale arrives, Todd Baxter, who have I harassed? Todd Baxter. When Jermaine Benman snaps my head back at this gym, who did I harass? Reality tells Batman and me to go out to the vehicle, and he tells me to wait in the backseat of his Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle, which I do. I'm sitting in the backseat of the vehicle. So Todd Baxter, who am I harassing sitting in the backseat of Andrew Reality's Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle? He's paid $79,000 to do what he's about to do to me. I'm looking out the front window, and then he tells Batman the 7 words to say to me. I'm in the backseat, Todd Baxter. Do you understand me? Am I being crystal clear about where I'm sitting? He walks Batman around to the vehicle. I look to my left, and then Batman says to me, I want to press charges against you with those 7 words, Todd Baxter. I'm charged with harassment second. Who did I harass, Todd Baxter? It can only be Jermaine Batman or Andrew Reality. Who is it? Who did I harass, Todd K. Baxter? I didn't harass anyone. It's impossible to harass anyone when you violently attack. It's impossible to harass anyone in the backseat of a Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle. So here I am charged with criminal attempt second just for telling Steve Desmond and Brock Colatree and Lawn Care nobody owns the land next to my residence by $67,000 Shannon mine. That's not a crime. Here I am charged with harassment second. Well, I'm not harassing anyone. I'm violently attacked by $79,000 Andrew Reality, and that's not a crime. I go to Penfield Town Court. I appear before John P. Lomenzo Jr. Now, Sandra Doorley, on the Freedom of Information Law documents here, this is a name I'm demanding, and you will refuse. I've been demanding this name for 18 months. I stand at the podium and I look at Lomenzo. There's no jury of 12 in there. There's no table for a prosecutor. There's no table for a defense attorney. There's not even a witness box for witness testimony. I look at the prosecutor to my left, Sandra Doorley, that works for you. She looked at the wall, looked down. There's total silence from her. Lomenzo gavels, proceeding to win in less than 60 seconds, and there's Andrew Reality. He says to me, put your hands behind your back. I take a step back. I'm confused. I am confused at this point. Another Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee puts his hands on my shoulder and pushes me down to the ground. I'm on my knees in Penfield Town Court. And I'm going to next do something I have not done in 40 years. Since I was in the playground at Wing Street Elementary School in Long Island. I screamed. I have not screamed in 40 years. I screamed, you're violating my rights. The handcuffs go on, taken to Monroe County Jail. I'm in there with the most violent criminals in Monroe County. The murderers, the rapists, the arsonists. He was a man 6'8", 300 pounds. Another inmate, an elderly man who's 70 plus years old named Bob, told me he murdered his neighbor in Rochester. And also Todd Baxter. Separate these elderly inmates from the 25-year-old gang members. So I'm there for 3 weeks. And I kept saying, how long's my sentence? And nobody tells me. I'm in Monroe County Jail when a prosecutor from the district attorney's office doesn't talk because of one person, John P. Lomenzo Jr. And every day, day after day, in the 3 weeks I'm there, I'm saying how long I'm going to be here, and nobody tells me. And then 2 Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees show up and drive me over to Rochester Psychiatric Center. And as I now know, there's a 7:30 mental health evaluation to determine competence. There's no 7:30 for me. There's nothing. You, Todd Baxter, just drove me over to RPC. And so I get to RPC, and I meet with Dr. Jeremy Smith. And I told him everything I've said in here, and I amplified what I told him about you. I'm in there with a man named John, who thinks he's in a concentration camp, and he would say to me, we're in a concentration camp. And then I would explain to him, it's not a concentration camp, and he believes it is one because of the 15-foot high metal fences with the concertina wire on top. I'm in there with a man named Victor who drools on himself. One of the saddest human beings I've ever seen in my life. He does not know he's at RPC. I'm in there with elderly women in their nightgowns. And I'm saying to Dr. Jeremy Smith, how long am I going to be here? What am I doing here? And where's the documentation? And that's what I'm giving the name, Dr. Caroline Easton at the Rochester Institute of Technology. I look at this piece of paper that purports to be an examination of my mental health, and it's not. I'm staring at this, and I say to him, Dr. Jeremy Smith, I'm here because of this piece of paper, and I asked to see Dr. Caroline Easton. So as I only have a certain amount of time, I spoke to Dr. Caroline Easton, and she didn't defend herself. She didn't deny it or anything. I'm saying to her, did you concoct this piece of paper that has me in RPC? And there's nothing from her. She didn't say anything, not yes or no. And then when I'm released, I contacted Dr. David C. Munson Jr., the president of Rochester Institute of Technology, and told him what his employee did, that his employee, Dr. Caroline Easton, is responsible for a fake, phony, fraudulent document that has me transferred from Monroe County Jail to Rochester Psychiatric Center. And then Dr. Jeremy Smith released me. He said, you shouldn't be here. I'll write the order. That's his exact words. So here I'm in Monroe County Jail, where I'm an innocent man, where a prosecutor doesn't talk. And then I'm at RPC with a fake, phony, fraudulent document by Dr. Caroline Easton. This is all because of you, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley. This is descending on me because of you. Criminal attempt second, that's not a crime. Harassment second, that's not a crime. Attempted felony assault on my back porch, which I'm now told no such crime exists. You're going to be stalking me one night, Todd Baxter, in 2020. This is $85,000 Don Benedetto and a psychopath last name Houlihan. I do not know Houlihan's first name. I leave my residence one night. I walk alongside my residence. $85,000 Don Benedetto and Houlihan come running at me at midnight. I turn around and run away. Now pay attention, you party-switching sociopath, Todd Baxter. When I began to run, when I see Benedetto and Houlihan, I never stopped running. I run back alongside my residence. I reach the back porch. When I put my foot on the back porch, the first of 3 steps, Houlihan grabs my arm. The hammer I just took hold of goes up in the air. I pull away. I run across the back porch through the sliding glass door. What crime did I commit? Houlihan claims I swung the hammer at him. That's a lie. And he perjured himself to the grand jury about it. I never stopped running, Sheriff Todd Baxter. Since I never stopped running, it's impossible for me to swing a hammer at Houlihan. I'm indicted for this lie when Michelle Crowley, the district attorney's office, convened the grand jury that I don't know was convened. Michelle Crowley, why did you convene this grand jury without interviewing me at the district attorney's office, without calling me to testify before the grand jury? And is there a transcript of it? Because Houlihan, when he stated I swung a hammer at him on my back porch when I ran the whole time, perjured himself before the grand jury. Harassment second. That's a concoction by $79,000 Angel Reale. Attempted felony assault on my back porch. That's a concoction by $85,000 Don Benedetto. Criminal attempt second. That's a concoction by $67,000 Shannon Meyer. Your employees, Sheriff Todd Baxter, do not know how to identify a criminal act. It's many things. It's laughable. It's a disgrace. It's outrageous that your employees, sworn officers of law, are concocting crimes for me. My 50th birthday is July 4, 2015. And on my 50th birthday, I got a speeding ticket in Albany, New York, and a speeding ticket in Washington, D.C. And this is when I worked at the Capitol. My speeding ticket was on Central Avenue because I was going to see the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight. And I pulled into what's called the Capitol OTP Tel Theater, and there's the Albany police officer behind me. I'm thinking, what's going on here with this guy? So I got a ticket for going 5 miles an hour over. So I went to work at the Capitol the following Monday and told my colleague what happened to me. And he set me up with an attorney. And I went to court in Albany City Hall in front of the Capitol, and the ticket was dismissed. And then when I was working in Washington, D.C., I got a ticket on the Capitol Beltway, and the same thing. I went to court and it was dismissed. So on my 50th birthday, I got 2 speeding tickets, one in Albany, New York, one in Washington, D.C., was dismissed. That says about me that I understand the moral separation for what constitutes a criminal act. You don't. You do not know how to identify facts, circumstances, and behavior as a criminal act. See this? It's an envelope here that says District Attorney Sandra Doorley. This is an envelope here. It says Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. This is an envelope here that says Paul C. Metzler. This is an envelope here that says James Simone Jr. And I believe I have the other one. I hope it is. Oh, yeah. The former employee of the District Attorney's Office in New York State Supreme Court, Alex Renzi. And I love to go in there to ridicule this guy because I've said to him, where's the jury? And he looked at me like he wanted to really do something to me. I'm not going to use certain language. He looked at me with hatred. When I said to Alex Renzi, where's the jury? I'm trying not to laugh because nothing's funny about what happened to me. Sometimes a little levity helps. When I said to Alex Renzi, where's the jury? He had a look on his face that makes me laugh because he looked at me with hatred. So the reason why I showed you these envelopes, Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doorley, you're going to be signing for this. And what I'm going to put in here are these documentations here. Do you understand what I'm demanding from you? I'm demanding information from you. You demand information. And you better acquire that information. It's all right here in the form that you're going to receive. And you're going to continue to refuse to comply with the law. Why? What is wrong with you two? Corruption has been a fact of life in New York, in Albany for 50 plus years. And Albany, New York is one of the most corrupt state capitals in the United States of America. You're corrupt and you don't know it. Even though I'm detailing to you exactly precisely why you're corrupt, you exist in a delusion and a denial where you cannot understand that you're corrupt. I'm in jail without a prosecutor talking court. That is a reason why you're corrupt, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. You're refusing to disclose the names of my prosecutors of silence. That is a reason why you're corrupt, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Your employees, Sheriff Todd Baxter, are violently attacking me repeatedly. That's why you're corrupt, Sheriff Todd Baxter. Your employees are concocting criminal charges for me when there's no criminal act by me. That's why you're corrupt, Sheriff Baxter. What is wrong with you? Where's your morality and your ethics? How come you're not guided by the truth? The truth needs to animate every American citizen, but it especially needs to animate those American citizens in powerful positions of law enforcement. And you've smashed the truth into a million little pieces. I see it all the time. You, Todd Baxter, refused to disclose information to me, and you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, refused to disclose information to me when I'm using the legally binding documentation as a Freedom of Information law. It's an absolute and total disgrace. Why do you refuse to provide information to me when I'm using the instrument that is required to force you to disclose this information? So, innocence is not only a status for a defendant in a courtroom, it's a way to live your life. And I have always lived my life inside innocence. Now, Sheriff Todd Baxter, your fanaticism is on display with my dog. And this is why I call you a fanatic. My ex-girlfriend, Laura, and I lived in Webster in 2012, and we talked about adopting a dog. I had a golden retriever in my family for 10 years, from the time I was 14 until I was 24. The dog was in my family from when I was a freshman in high school to when I graduated from the State University of New York at Stony Brook, and she was a golden retriever my father got for Christmas, and her name was Ginger. And people love their dogs. Tens of millions of people love their dogs. I believe there are 60 million dog owners in the United States of America. And so when I say I love my dog, I'm nothing special or unique or different. And I really have contempt for individuals that say they love their dogs like they have a higher morality. You're supposed to love your dog. That's the way it works in the United States of America. You're supposed to love your dog just like you do your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife. That's the way it works. There's nothing special or unique if somebody loves their dog. I think there are so many terrific reasons why people love their dogs. And I think a reason is your dog loves you. You just know it. I could tell 500 stories about why I love my dog, and I won't. But I'll just say one thing. He used to jump up on the bed where me and my ex-girlfriend lived in Penfield. And if I heard the phrase, get down, I knew he was on the bed because that was a big thing that he couldn't be on the bed. So it would wake me up. He'd jump on the bed and he'd get down and I'd laugh and go back to sleep. This is a reason why people love their dogs. So Laura and I went to Lollipop Farm Humane Society, and this is why I tell you this. One of the questions we were asked in a background check, I don't know if they did a full investigation, did some kind of check, is have you ever been arrested? And Laura and I both said no. And I believe the answer was yes. Our application to adopt a dog Lollipop Farm Humane Society would have been denied, rejected. They're saints at Lollipop, what they do. Nobody wants these dogs. Every dog deserves a home, and every dog deserves to be loved. When we walked through the cages one day, and after we were there, after we passed the interview, the background check, whatever they did to adopt a dog, we are approved. And I remember saying to Laura, I don't want to get a barking dog. And there's barking everywhere. And Laura said, I'm sure you don't want to get a barking dog. This is such a wonderful day of happiness. So we walked through cages, and there was a Shih Tzu sitting there. And Laura said, he's looking right at you. And he was really looking at both of us. And this is why she has such a heart, because he was really looking at both of us. And she said, he's looking right at you. And he's sitting, he's got his little paws up like this. He's looking up at us like this. And love at first sight. So they told Laura and I to go to this gym area, which we did. And we sat down. He came running over to us, and I picked him up for the first time. I put him on my shoulder. He licked my face, and we dived him. We took him home. I was able to adopt dog my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, because I passed whatever type of background check they did. I passed the interview, and I have my little guys, I call them, for 8 years. And the Lollipop Farm employee said that his name is Alex. And I laughed right away, because when I was a United States Senate staffer, I worked in the Russell Senate office building, and my colleague was an attorney. His name is Alex Heck, and Alex sat right behind me. And he was really quite something. Him and I used to talk about all sorts of different things. And he was a lot different. And I liked him a lot. But no dog of mine is going to be named Alex, who's going to remind me of my coworker when I was a United States Senate staffer. And I thought about how do I want to change his name. Well, I've been a boxing fan my whole life. My favorite fighter is Sugar Ray Leonard. And I love the way he fights. He won the Olympic gold medal in 1976 Olympics in Montreal. He knocked out, as Howard Cosell called him, the big Cuban, Andres Aldama. And then he defeated Wilfred Benitez in the 15th round by knockout to win the welterweight title. And of course, his epic fight with Marvin Hagler, where he came out of retirement and defeated Hagler via split decision. Just an epic fighter, athlete, human being. My favorite fighter of all time is Sugar Ray Leonard. And so I've loved boxing. Well, I couldn't name my dog Sugar Ray. I just wasn't going to do that. And another favorite fighter is Ray Mancini. And Ray Mancini is the former WBA lightweight champion. He won the title when he knocked out Arturo Frias in a sensational fight where both displayed tremendous heart and courage and determination. And so since I love Ray Mancini as a boxer, and his nickname is Boom Boom, I changed my dog's name from Alex to Boom Boom, which is unconventional. So I didn't want to give him a name that could be ordinary. He's going to be Boom Boom because my little guy's champion. That's why he's Boom Boom. And he reminds me of one of my favorite fighters who's all heart, Ray Mancini. So anyway, Laura and I are at 26 Sanders Farm Drive, and I walk my dog alongside the residence. You can see this residence from Penfield Road, and to get to the land behind the residence. 4,000 times in 7 years, I walk my dog. It's ordinary. It's normal to walk your dog. I leave the front door, walk alongside the trees that you can see from Penfield Road to get to the property that has no ownership, because Timothy Murphy of the Real Property Tax Service Office cannot confirm that this land has ownership, either alongside or behind my residence. It's going to be a major thing for me, and it doesn't matter to you. So Dr. Gloria Nichols leaves her practice at 2033 Penfield Road. This heinous mother and son, 50-year-old man lives with a 70-year-old mother, named Rasha Layla Kumar Shah, move into the building. I'm walking my dog one day on this property that has no ownership, and the back window from this Shah law firm flies open, and this woman is screaming at me. I do not know what she's screaming at. I take my little guy in, and I walk through the parking lot to go speak to this woman. If she's screaming at me, there needs to be a conversation and dialogue. Why is she screaming at me? I don't know. So I walk in there, and I say, I want to speak to Layla Kumar and Nehar Shah. And this mother and son refuse to speak to me. I leave. Approximately 30 minutes later, there's the Monroe County Sheriff Office at my front door. 2 employees, Sheriff Todd Baxter, with an employee from Penfield Animal Control. And this is going to be a vicious confrontation when I open the door. Your employees, Todd Baxter, are demanding I surrender my dog based on one phone call from these 2 mother and son cretins, Layla Kumar and Nehar Shah, who don't come over and talk to me. They just called your office, called Animal Control, and said, go to his house and get his dog. 4,000 times, you party-switching stooge. I've walked my dog on that property, and there you are demanding my dog. Fanatic, degenerate, sociopath, Todd Baxter. This confrontation goes on for about 30 seconds, where I say to these 2 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees, and the individual from Penfield Animal Control with his 10-foot pole in his hand with a noose on it for my Shih Tzu that weighs 12 pounds. I said, "You'll have to kill me to take my little guy from me." And when I closed the door and I walked back to his dog bed, my mother and father bought me this dog bed for him. And he had this look on his face that I've never seen. And when I picked him up, he was shaking. And I put him on my shoulder, and he was shaking on my shoulder. He never shook, because I would pick him up all the time and tell him how much I loved him, which is what dog owners do. And he was shaking. I had to keep it together. I thought I was going to cry right there. The way he was shaking and shaking on my shoulder. So I'm going to tell you about how I had to go retrieve my dog from Lollipop Farm Humane Society. And since this YouTube is 35 minutes, I only have a certain amount of time. That's 30 minutes alone about what happened to me when I had to go back to Lollipop Farm and retrieve my dog, because I was in jail as an innocent man. And Penfield Animal Control officer had to go into my residence, Steve Schicker, and get my dog, bring my dog back to Lollipop. So I'm going to talk about Steve Schicker and how he had to go into my residence and what happened with that disgusting series of events. So, what do you think about what I'm telling you? Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doorley here. Because what I'm going to do is read again. And when I read again, you're still going to refuse to comply with the law. The Freedom of Information Law. The internal disciplinary records of documentation for employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter, that Sheriff Todd Baxter is reprimanded, terminated, or disciplined employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. What's not to understand? The internal disciplinary records or documentation for employees at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, that District Attorney Sandra Doorley is disciplined, reprimanded, terminated employment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. What's not to understand? The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter. What's not to understand? The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. What's not to understand? Total cost of overtime, time and a half, or hour paid beyond a base salary is calculated at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter. What's not to understand? Total cost of overtime, time and a half, or hour paid beyond a base salary is calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sheriff Sandra Doorley. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter spending taxpayer dollars settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley spending taxpayer dollars settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The cost of a surveillance device purchased for taxpayer dollars by Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter and fixed to a building 2022 on Benford Road to monitor Christopher Chichester, 26 Sandwich Farm Drive, walks through the parking lot next to the building. The cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter to photograph 10 public employees underwater in a pool. The cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff employee Ryan Fisher, 10 Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019 was Canine Dog Lola. What are the physical training standards and requirements of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Day in year, Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter rehired Michael Radler after his 20-year career with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office ended. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester before John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester before Paul C. Metzer in Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? The name of charge. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester before Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? The name, charge, and sentence of every inmate of Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter's Monroe County Jail from January 1, 2018 to September 17th, 2022. So I want to talk about the jail. It's the final thing. Two things. Violent inmates and nonviolent inmates. Separate the nonviolent inmates from the violent inmates at the jail, you party-switching sociopath Todd Baxter. The fact I have to tell you this is confirmation again of your corruption and buffoonery and incompetence. Have a separate area for the murderers and the rapists and the arsonists from people accused of nonviolent crimes. And at your jail, I took the elevator to go to this gym to run because I would try to maintain my physical fitness. And as I'm a runner, I could run around this gym area. And I get off the elevator one day, and there is a Monroe County Sheriff Officer employee in uniform who is unlike any other I have seen. He is, I'll guess, in the vicinity of 70 years of age. He looked like he was shrinking in his uniform. I stared at him, and it really is a whole new level of bewilderment and astonishment and confusion about what you are. He is about 70. You know who I'm talking about. I know you absolutely know the name of this individual, given his age and given he works at the jail. And this is the old boy now working at the jail. I believe that you take the Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that are 55, 60 years old, these hacks that are 20, 30 pounds overweight, and you put them at the jail because they're too much of a risk to be in vehicles doing real police work and placing themselves in harm's way in the face of violent criminals outside the jail. You got the old boy network at the jail because they can't do real police work. This is the old boy now. We'll get to jail. This employee that's 70 years of age. I'm going to write a separate freedom of information law. I want to know his name because I demand to know how long he's been employed at the sheriff's office and how old he is. And do you forcibly retire individuals? Todd K. Baxter. So, this YouTube is at 40 minutes. It's a long YouTube. I'm going to contact you repeatedly. I hope every day that I can come to the Bright Memorial Library and talk to you. Because I'm not at a permanent residence right now. When I get to my new permanent residence, I'm going to contact you, my new permanent residence, just like I did at 26 Sanders Farm Drive. Conviction Integrity Unit, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. It's going to be a FOIL. I'm going to send you a Freedom of Information law with 1,000+ words where I'm demanding information from you. You, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, and you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, will have the attention of the United States Department of Justice when I contact its employees for smashing my civil and constitutional rights into a million little pieces.